Test J, Section 2, Question 18. Modern science is built on the process of posing hypotheses and testing them against observations. In essence, attempting to show that the hypotheses are incorrect. It's the beauty of the scientific method, y'all. We propose hypotheses, we then compare them to observations, and our constant goal as scientific thinkers is to disprove our own hypotheses. It's a beautiful thing. Nothing brings more recognition than overthrowing conventional wisdom. Yeah, you want to be a rock star in science? Overthrow E equals mc squared. If you can prove that that's false, you will be an incredible superstar in the world of science. That's all scientists are ever trying to do, is disprove their own hypotheses. It is accordingly unsurprising that some scientists are skeptical of the widely accepted predictions of global warming. Well, that's because scientists are just natural skeptics. That's what we do. We try to disprove our own hypotheses. If we can't disprove hypotheses, then we probably provisionally accept them while we continue to try to disprove them for the rest of our lives. But we at least say, well, hey, we haven't been able to disprove this so far, so maybe this is true. So they're skeptical not just of global warming particularly, they're skeptical of everything, including global warming. What is instead remarkable is that with hundreds of researchers striving to make breakthroughs in climatology, very few find evidence that global warming is unlikely. So here's what's happened, y'all. The scientific community, somebody had a hypothesis that, hey, I think humans might be causing the Earth to warm. Every scientist in the world immediately set about trying to disprove that hypothesis. Which is not surprising, because that's what scientists do. What is surprising is that nobody has been able to disprove it, which is why we now know that the scientific community generally accepts this as true, because everybody's been trying to disprove it for so long and they haven't been able to. That's what we mean when we say that scientists believe in global warming. They've tried their hardest to disprove it and failed. The information above provides the most support for which one of the following statements? Okay, it's just a must be true question. I really engaged there. You saw that? I really engaged with the facts. Which one of these five is proven by those facts? A, most scientists who are reluctant to accept the global warming hypothesis are not acting in accordance with the accepted standards of scientific debate. I don't see any reason to like that answer. You know, that's what scientists do. Scientists are skeptical.
You see this right here?
Hey, can you guys be careful with your mics, please? And maybe even Claire and Abigail, can you mute people if they're talking background noise? B, most researchers in climatology have substantial motive to find evidence that would discredit the global warming hypothesis. Most researchers in climatology have substantial motive to find evidence that would discredit the global warming hypothesis. Yeah, and that's just, the evidence is clear right in the passage, okay? It starts off with modern science is built on the process of posing hypotheses and then attempting to show that the hypotheses are incorrect. That right there is enough to support B, but it doubles down and it says nothing brings more recognition than overthrowing conventional wisdom, which if global warming is now conventional wisdom, then nothing would bring more recognition than overthrowing that. And so those first two sentences are super strong evidence in support of B. I'm sure that's the answer. C, there is evidence that conclusively shows that the global warming hypothesis is true. Nope. We haven't been able to prove it untrue. That's what science does. It doesn't prove things true. It poses hypotheses and tries to prove those hypotheses false. Everything that's left we might accept for now, but that doesn't mean it's proven true. It just means we haven't been able to prove it false. D, scientists who are skeptical about global warming have not offered any alternative hypotheses to explain climatological data. You have no evidence for that. That's a garbage answer. If you picked that, you're just not doing it right. I mean, there is no evidence in the passage to suggest what D says. We can't pick answers like that, guys. E, research in global warming is primarily driven by a desire for recognition in the scientific community. That one's a little tricky. There is evidence that scientists might, be interested, or at least it says, hey, here's how scientists could get recognition. But there's no evidence in the passage that recognition is the primary, really the primarily there makes E conclusively false. We know that maybe they are driven somewhat by a desire for recognition, but we can't vouch for the idea that they are primarily driven by a desire for recognition. There could be a million other things, including they want to save the planet. So that's why we can't pick E. B is totally supported by the first two sentences of the passage, and so we can confidently pick B.